If you have spent any amount of time in the ARPG community recently, you've probably seen the same argument over and over again. Diablo 4 versus Path of Exile 2. Which game is better? Which game has the better endgame? Which game has the better combat? Which game respects your time more? But I think that entire discussion misses the point. The biggest mistake ARPG players make is comparing Diablo 4 and Path of Exile 2 as if they are trying to achieve the same goal. They're not. In fact, many of the things Diablo 4 players dislike about Path of Exile 2 are exactly the reasons PoE 2 players love it. And many of the things Path of Exile 2 players criticize about Diablo are actually deliberate design choices that Blizzard made on purpose. So today I want to break down the fundamental differences between these two games, explain the philosophy behind them, and help you to understand why both communities value completely different things. Because once you understand that, you'll stop asking which game is objectively better and start asking which game is actually designed for me. Let's get into it. The biggest difference between Diablo 4 and Path of Exile 2 isn't combat. It isn't the itemization, and it's not even the endgame. It's the philosophy that everything else is built upon. Diablo 4 is designed around accessibility. The developers want players to jump into the game quickly, understand what's happening, kill monsters, and start having fun almost immediately. You pick a class, you choose a few skills, you start progressing. Within minutes you understand the basic gameplay loop. Even if you have never played an ARPG before, Diablo 4 does a very good job of teaching you what matters. Many of the systems are streamlined intentionally. Crafting is easier to understand, respecking is relatively painless, currencies are simplified, the game removes friction wherever possible. Now compare that to PoE 2. Path of Exile 2 is built around mastery. The game expects you to learn, it expects you to experiment, it expects you to make mistakes, and most importantly, it expects you to invest time. Within your first hours of PoE 2, you're already encountering multiple crafting currencies, support gems, passive tree decisions, item interactions, and systems that may not immediately make sense. The game is comfortable with the idea that you won't understand everything right away, because understanding the game is part of the game, and that difference influences every system that follows. Diablo 4 asks, how quickly can we get you having fun? Path of Exile is asking, how much are you willing to learn? Neither answer is wrong. They are simply targeting different players. Now let's talk about combat, because on the surface, both games look similar. You kill monsters, you dodge attacks, you collect loot. But the way they approach combat is fundamentally different. Diablo 4 is built around power fantasy. The goal is to make you feel powerful. As your character progresses, the screen fills with larger numbers, bigger effects, and increasingly explosive interactions. You begin by fighting monsters. Eventually, you start deleting entire groups before they can react. The game wants you to feel strong. It wants you to feel like your build has become unstoppable. And for many players, that's exactly what makes ARPGs fun. Path of Exile 2 takes a very different approach. Combat is slower, more deliberate, more punishing. Positioning matters more, boss mechanics matter more, dodging matters more. In many encounters, gear alone won't save you. You still need to execute properly. You still need to recognize mechanics, and you still need to react. This creates a very different feeling during gameplay. Diablo 4 often feels like you're becoming stronger than the world around you, while Path of Exile often feels like you're learning how to overcome the world around you. That's a subtle difference, but it completely changes how players experience both games. One delivers power, the other delivers challenge. And depending on who you are, one of those experiences will probably resonate more than the other. Now we arrive at what many ARPG players consider the heart of the genre: character creation and build diversity. Diablo 4 takes a guided approach. When you choose a skill, the game generally provides clear directions. You can see which items support that skill. You can see which talents enhance it. You can identify the intended synergies relatively quickly. This makes experimentation approachable. A player can create a functional build without spending hours researching guides. That's an intentional strength of Diablo 4. The game wants players playing, not studying spreadsheets. Path of Exile 2 takes almost the opposite approach. Instead of guiding you toward a handful of intended builds, it gives you an enormous toolbox and allows you to figure things out yourself. Support gems, passive nodes, ascendancies, item modifiers, crafting systems. Everything can interact with everything else. That freedom creates incredible possibilities. It also creates incredible complexity. In Diablo 4, the game often helps you build your character. In Path of Exile 2, the game hands you the tools and essentially says, good luck. For some players, that's intimidating. For others, that's exactly why they play. Because discovering powerful interactions yourself is one of the most rewarding experiences the genre can offer. Now, if combat is the heart of an ARPG, loot is its lifeblood. And once again, these two games approach loot very differently. Diablo 4 focuses on consistent rewards. The game wants players to regularly find upgrades. Legendaries drop frequently, materials accumulate steadily, progression feels continuous. The dopamine hits often. Even short play sessions usually produce visible progress. That design keeps momentum high. Players feel rewarded for their time. Path of Exile 2 approaches loot from another angle. Rather than focusing on frequent upgrades, the game often emphasizes meaningful opportunities. And an item may not be exciting because of what it currently is. It may be exciting because of what it could become. Crafting plays a much larger role. Potential matters, future value matters, trading value matters. A Diablo player often looks at an item and asks, can I equip this right now? A PoE player often looks at an item and asks, what can I turn this into? Both approaches create excitement, but they create different kinds of excitement. One rewards immediate progression, the other rewards long-term planning. Eventually, every ARPG reaches the same question. What happens after the campaign? This is where some of the biggest community debates happen. Diablo 4's endgame focuses primarily on the strengthening of your character. You run activities, you improve your gear, you increase your power, you push higher difficulties, you chase optimization. The structure is straightforward. Become stronger, fight harder content, repeat. And for many players, that's exactly what they want. The progression is clear, the goals are visible, the rewards are easy to understand. Path of Exile takes a broader approach. Character progression still matters, but the endgame also introduces increasing layers of system complexity. Maps gain modifiers, mechanics interact, risk increases. Decision-making becomes more important. The player isn't only optimizing their character, they are optimizing the entire experience around that character. You could describe the difference like this. Diablo 4 focuses heavily on vertical progression. Your number goes up, your power goes up, your efficiency goes up. Path of Exile 2 combines vertical progression with horizontal progression. Your character improves, but your understanding of system also improves. The game grows outward as well as upward. And that's a major reason why PoE players often spend thousands of hours in the ecosystem. At this point, we can start to understand why debates between both communities often become so heated. Because they aren't always arguing about the same thing. Diablo players often value accessibility, fast progression, immediate action, powerful characters, seasonal excitement. They want to lock in and have fun. Path of Exile players often value mastery, depth, long-term progression, theory crafting, optimization. They enjoy learning systems, they enjoy solving problems, they enjoy discovering interactions. And here's the interesting part. Many of the complaints players have about the opposing game are actually features. A Diablo player might look at Path of Exile 2 and say, there's too much complexity. PoE player hears, that's exactly why I play it. And a PoE player might look at Diablo 4 and say, it's too simple. A Diablo 4 player hears, that's exactly why I enjoy it. The same design decision can be viewed as either a flaw or a strength depending on what the player values. And that's why so many online arguments never go anywhere. Both sides are often correct. They are simply judging the games using different standards. So after all of that, where does this leave us? I think the answer is surprisingly simple. Diablo 4 and Path of Exile 2 are not trying to be the same game. Diablo 4 is built around accessibility. It prioritizes approachability, power fantasy, and getting players into the action as quickly as possible. Path of Exile 2 is built around mastery, complexity, discovery, and long-term investment. Diablo 4 is asking, how fun can we make the next hour? While Path of Exile 2 asks, how rewarding can we make the next 1,000 hours? Neither philosophy is objectively superior. They are simply different. And honestly, that's probably a good thing for the genre. Because whether you enjoy instant action or explosive power or deep systems and endless experimentation, there's a modern ARPG designed specifically for you. But now I want to hear from you. If Blizzard and grinding gear games swap design philosophies tomorrow, which community do you think would be more upset? Would Diablo players tolerate more complexity, or would Path of Exile players tolerate more simplicity? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious to see where you stand. And with this, I hope I see you in the next one.